What doesn't sound good about that? It's United. It's democracy. The United Democracy Project. They are a super PAC, which means they have to report who they gave money to or how much. Wasn't that convenient? Nowhere in their brochures do they mention AIPAC. But the only people they fund are people that are supportive of Israel. In our Congress right now, 80
What is this organization again?
United Democracy Project.
The United Democracy.
Yeah, look them up.
I will.
They're a super PAC. They're run by AIPAC. So we've got AIPAC, AIPAC PAC, and the United Democracy Project. 80 of our congressmen list as the largest primary funder of campaigns. Tell me we're not occupied and being controlled by Israel. Now there's other groups, there's hundreds of these groups. This is kind of like swarm technology. What's harder to defend against, one incoming missile or 100? It's hard to shoot down a swarm. It's hard to get your hands around a lot of smaller groups that are all doing different things, and any one group you can't say, well, that's bad. So again, United Democracy Project, it sounds good. The other one is the American Israeli Education Foundation. Education's good. We can all agree that education's good, right? Well, what does it fund? The only thing it funds is trips for congressmen and senators to go to Israel.
Are you shitting?
That's all it funds. And almost every congressman and senator is gone. They have free, all expense paid trips to take them to Israel, parade them around and show them how wonderful Israel is, not going into Gaza or West Bank, and then send them home. That is the American Israeli Education Foundation.
We got one of those letters.
Well, I don't doubt it. They want you to go see. Let us show you how good we are.
I'm sorry. I don't need any more fucking propaganda.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was from that organization.
I can't remember. Like I said, there are hundreds of them. There are so many small organizations that, by their name and everything, they sound good. But it all is all going towards the same effect. It's going towards getting the U.S. to spend their money and send their sons and daughters in harm's way to Israel. You just can't get around that. And now we're going to get into something that's a little sensitive.
Oh boy. This wasn't sensitive.
No. Sometimes I'm talking with my wife and we're discussing this. She's like, don't go there. And I'm like, yeah, but how can you not? There's 6 to 7 million Jews in the United States. That means they're about 2% of the population. Not huge. They're 10 to 12% of Congress, which right away says they're overrepresented by 5 to 1 at least. But that's not where the money is. That's not where the influence is. That's not enough to get our congressmen to listen and do whatever they want them to do. So here we start looking at the numbers, and we get to Christian Zionists, Christians who believe the Jews have to take over and own and run Israel for the second coming. And until that happens, we're stuck here on earth. Christian Zionists represent about 25% of the start looking at that. Now the politicians are paying attention. And that's why you've got, like Ted Cruz coming out and saying, God commanded us to support Israel. He's a Christian Zionist. You got Biden that came out and said, I am a Zionist. Not because, he's Jewish. He's a Christian Zionist. He believes that Israel must exist. Jews must be in charge of Jerusalem in order for the second coming. And that's what the Christian Zionists want. And it's like another one of those things where follow the money, follow the votes, follow, why are our congressmen doing this? They need those votes. This gets even more salient when you start looking at in our elections, how many people actually vote? The voting age, how many voters actually vote? Sadly, 50 to 60%. Well, if 25% have to make sure this happens, only 50% vote, but 25% of Christian Zionists, all of a sudden you're looking at 40 to 50% of the voting population voting in this way. I'm going to keep going down the rabbit hole a little further.
Keep going.
So, why do Christian Zionists believe that Jews have to be in Jerusalem for the second coming? And the big answer to that is something called the Scofield Bible. We all know the King James Bible. If you've ever read the King James Bible, it's written, it is a translation. It's hard to read through. And there's a lot of background information you don't have, right? Unless you actually study each book and say, why was this book written? Like this was Paul's letter to this people, because Paul was told these people were doing this. So Paul wrote them a letter that said, this is what you should be doing, right? A lot of people don't understand that. They just figure the entire Bible is the Word of God. You're like, no, it's a bunch of books made up of Paul and others writing about this, right? But it's hard to read. I have trouble reading it. I've read through it, but sometimes it's a slog to get through it. In 1909, a guy named Cyrus Scofield wrote, and something other than the King James for decades. He published it in 1909. It was picked up by a guy named Untermeyer, who was a lawyer in New York, a Jewish Zionist, and he gave it to all of the book clubs. He gave it to the influential people in New York to try and get it more and more published. People in New York to try and get it more and more published because it supported the Zionist cause. Because he would take comments like Genesis that says, Cyrus Scofield is not a rabbi. He was a Christian. But he interpreted the King James and wrote the Reference Bible.
Okay.
Again, look him up. Look up Cyrus Scofield. Look up the Scofield Bible. Look up the guy named Untermeyer. I forgot his first name. I don't remember his first name.
He's the one that got it out.
He's the one that got it out. He was a Jewish Zionist lawyer in New York. He bankrolled it, got the money for publishing, got out. And again, talking with me, I keep going back to look at the history and see how this got here. When you see how it got here, all of a sudden it starts making more sense why it is what it is today. But then the question always becomes, okay, great, we're here.
Christian Zionists.
That is a big, huge part of it. So if you put together the propaganda through AIPAC, the funding through the United Democracy Project, the American Israeli Education Fund, sending all of our congressmen and senators to Israel, put that together with the evangelical Christians every Sunday at church saying, we support Israel. There's another group, the Christian United Left. Members, more than the 5 million that AIPAC has. And it basically preaches we're united for Israel. Israel needs to control Jerusalem because that is what it's going to take for the second coming. If you're Israeli, you're going to use that and make sure that people keep saying that and using it to get the support you need.
And what is their motivation? It's obviously not the second coming. It's the coming.
Yeah. It's we were promised this land. It's ours. We want to be completely in control of this land, and we want to be a superpower where no one can challenge us.
And what do they believe has to happen? The building of
It's
the
weird because I do have to comment. Not all Jews are Zionists. When Zionism first started, a lot of Jews saw it as heresy.
When did it start?
Oh God. Theodor Herzl was 1893, 1898.
This goes back that far.
Yeah, Theodor Herzl was back in that time period. He was the one who wrote the book Der Judenstaat, the Jewish state, that proposed that Jews should have a state of their own. That was 1898. 1890 something. 1898 sticks in my mind, but I'm not sure that that's actually, but 1890s. But even back then, when he was proposing that, a lot of Jews were saying this is heresy. You can't force God's hand. God said that someday the Jews will return to Jerusalem. That's on his time schedule, not yours.
I mean, it's been said that that's the biggest sin of all, is to try to manipulate God into the end times.
Yeah. But they look at it like, well, he didn't say it wasn't now. Maybe he's just waiting for us to make it happen.
AI everywhere right now. Everyone's got an opinion on it. For me, the only question is simple. Does it actually help me think better? When we're preparing for long-form interviews on this show, surface-level answers are not useful. I need to go deep, understand, verify sources, and connect dots across a lot of material. Claude has become part of that workflow. It helps me work through complex research with reliable analysis and proper citations. And it pulls connections across dozens of sources that would take hours to sort through manually. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you. Whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move, Claude professional tools and bring context from across your workflow into one place. So you're not bouncing between Claude Pro, which includes access to Temple.
Yeah. Not a huge amount, quite honestly. I know it has to be built.
So right now, there's what do they call it? The dome over the rock.
The dome of the
mosque that is built over the old Jewish temple.
What is a strange mosque built on top of what they say was the temple. We got the Western Wall, which they say was part of the temple. Archaeologically, there's some issues with this. Back, they're like, this doesn't really look like this was the temple. It looks like it was a retaining wall over here. Tough to tell. It's been destroyed throughout the ages. There was a temple. It was torn down. A mosque was built. It was torn down. A church was built. A temple was built. And everybody is like, well, this is ours. To stick stuff in here that
a lot of people say that Netanyahu is not even a real Jew.
he's not. He was born in Poland. His real name is Volkowski or something like that.
I mean, the people in Iran are burning statues of Baal. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Burning statues of Baal with Netanyahu and Trump's face next to it.
Yeah.
Saying that the U.S. is under Israeli influence and that these are basically demonic forces, entities, whatever you want to call it, basically Satanists.
If you read, so you've got the Torah. The Torah is really just the 5 books of the Old Testament, right? You've got the Talmud, which is all sorts of other instructions and sayings, right? If you read through some of the Talmud, it's kind of shocking. It says things like, if somebody isn't Jewish, you can do whatever you want to them because they're subhuman.
It actually says this.
Yeah.
Is this where the term goy comes in?
Yeah, well, goy means somebody not Jewish, right? There's other terms, there's other meanings to it, and I'm not a linguistic in that area, but I know that for the most part, yeah, you're not Jewish, you're a goy, and we can do whatever we want. It's okay to charge usury, high prices to non-Jewish people. Can't charge it to Jewish people. It's okay to kill non-Jews. Can't kill a Jew. Right? I mean, there's all of these because they're chosen, you're not, so they can do whatever they want to you. There's so many things in and I'm not even going to go into some of them because it just sounds too fantastic that they would say this. But there's some really weird stuff in
I've
there.
heard some of it. It's outrageous.
Yeah, and you're like, I've actually looked some of it up because one of the things that you can do the same thing with the Bible in some cases. You can take one line out of context, right? And people do this all the time. When I was, there was a point in time I had classes in comparative religion, and my professors would say, text out of context is nonsense. You've got to know what's around it, right? And you can take a line out of the Bible and say, look at this line. Oh yeah, that's horrible. Okay, but let's look at the 3 lines before and the 3 lines after. Oh, okay, well now it makes more sense. People do this with the Quran all the time. They take one line and say, look at this. Okay, what does it say before that? What does it say after it? And you're like, well, that makes more sense. When I see some of the things from the Talmud, on a Kindle, I actually have the whole Talmud. And I look it up and I'm like, well, let me see what it actually says. And I'll go and I'll read it, and first I'll validate, okay, is this what it says? Close. Translated a couple words wrong. I love when I see translations of Arabic that say infidel. There is no word infidel in Arabic. That's an English word. The actual word that they usually use is it's like polytheist. If you believe in multiple gods, then you don't believe in the one God, which is the God of Abraham, the same one that Christians and Jews believe in, right? But they translate polytheist as infidel. And I'm like, well, that's wrong. But anyway, I'll go in the Talmud and I'll read it and I'll see, does it say what people say it says? And then I'll go a couple lines above and below and I'll see, what's the context? Is this being taken out of context? I'm shocked at the number of times I read something that is a little unbelievable from the Talmud that is not taken out of context. I'm like, this is weird, right? So yeah, so what's the end game for them?
What is the difference between the Talmud and the Torah?
The Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, Old Testament, right? Genesis and whatnot, that's the Torah. The Talmud is instruction after that on how to live your life, what to do. How would I explain it? It's years of rabbinical opinion on what all of this means.
I mean, I've seen clips, I'll roll one right now, of Rabbi talking to a younger Netanyahu saying that we need to speed this process up. There's another rabbi who is talking about how they would destroy the mosque that sits over the
The
temple.
Al-Aqsa Mosque, that's over their temple.
And they would, sounds like right now, and this is just this one rabbi, not, it's one rabbi saying this, but he is talking about, and I want to roll this clip too, he is talking about with all the missiles coming in from Iran, they should.
That's your call. Just that it.
Are you Maha?
I'm in favor of Maha. Like, I think people should be held.
to go out and look at each of the vehicles. So you're telling the judge in court that you set up a time for the independent expert to go out and look at each of the vehicles and get this collision rate.
One or the other. If I may ask what you're looking. I'm just looking at the brakes. That's what I want to look at. Pick it up. Pick it up.
Mind you, listen to what they're talking about. Should we pick it up by a jack? We want to reserve.
Pick it up.
Mind you, listen. The police department. Look at what they've done to the car. The police department crushed this vehicle inside the police department. They took the vehicle after the accident to the police department and they crushed it. And they want to talk about preserving it. Oh, we don't want you touching it. He has a judge order that inspect. Are you terrified that this independent expert is going to look at the car? Your prosecutor is telling him in court, is telling the judge, I'm letting the independent expert reconstruct this collision, but here you are on a leaked body cam. On a leaked body cam, it showed that the main investigator, the same investigator that lied all over the news, Robert Drum, is telling the independent expert, prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, you cannot reconstruct this accident. You cannot touch the vehicles. Not Mustafa's vehicle, not the other vehicle involved in this collision, the SUV.
I don't mind it.
the mosque
I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
and rebuild the temple themselves.
I
Blame it. Blame it on Iran.
absolutely. I am shocked it hasn't happened. Because when all the missiles were coming in, I thought, Israel's just going to blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque and say it was Iran. I'm shocked it hasn't happened yet. And while we're on that topic, public opinion is moving against Israel right now. Public opinion is growing quickly against any further interaction with Iran. If you were in a think tank and you were tasked with how do we stop the public opinion from going this direction and redirect it back to this direction, what do?
You victimize yourself.
Victimize yourself, and probably by doing a false flag event. I am waiting for a false flag event in the U.S. I am waiting for a terrorist attack like 9/11 in the U.S. blamed on Iran. And I'm like, I don't want to see it. Dear God, I don't want to see it.
You feel it coming.
But Israelis get backed into a corner and they get wild, and I could see them doing that. Because all you need is one event that they say, look at this, the Iranians came and attacked you, and it's Pearl Harbor all over again. It's, well, we weren't going to get in the war, but now we're going. And I hope to dear God it doesn't happen, but I'm afraid that somebody's planning it.
Do you think it's happened before?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And quite honestly, Israel's done it before and been caught at it. I mean, we talked about it before, the Levant affair, where they dressed people up and went them in Egypt to go bomb American and British places where they stayed, hotels, restaurants, and blame it on the Arabs. Problem is they caught one of them, and he confessed and said, yeah, we're working with the Israelis. We were instructed to do this. It's the same playbook. You just take it out, you polish, you dust it off, and bring it up to date.
Do you know anything about the USS Liberty?
Yeah.
What happened there?
The USS Liberty was a intelligence gathering ship off the coast of Egypt. Long story short, Israel bombed it, killed Americans. They said, we made a mistake. We thought it was an Egyptian ship. It looks nothing like an Egyptian ship. It was flying American flags. Israeli jets flew over it 2 or 3 times to identify it. It is, again, anybody could have identified it as an American ship. There was no question. And then they bombed it. They strafed it, dropped bombs on it. The American ship called and said for help. And said, we need help, we're being attacked. Aircraft were sent from, I don't remember, American aircraft were sent to go help, and then called back. And then called back, and later it was said, well, we didn't want to embarrass our ally. Israelis say, yeah, it was a mistake, sorry, yeah, sorry. Well, this was right before Israel was going to attack, let me think. Israel had an attack planned and they didn't want people knowing it. And the USS Liberty was an intelligence gathering ship. They didn't want us being able to broadcast anything or tell anybody anything. So they attacked our own ship. They killed Americans. And then when they said, sorry, we just accepted it and went, you know, it's a tragedy, we're sorry.
Holy shit. When was this?
Oh God, this was, 60 something. I don't remember for sure. But again, anybody can look up USS Liberty. There's been books written about it. There's been whole books written about this.
It just popped up on my radar recently.
Yeah. Yeah. There are so many incidents like this. So that, by the way, is the one and only time in history that another country has directly attacked a United States vessel, and there's been no repercussion. Every other time somebody has attacked an American vessel, we have a response attack. None with Israel. We just kind of wrote it off. And now you're going to get me on a roll here. Tucker Carlson, you work with him, you've interviewed him. He did an interview with Mike Huckabee, right? Did you see that interview?
I had to turn it off.
Right? I mean, you start watching it and you're like, who are you representing? He kept saying things like, well, our borders. I'm like, you mean Israel's borders? You're representing the United States. What do you mean our borders? And then Tucker asked him, well, the Israelis believe in this larger Israel, which we discussed before, where they need to take part of Saudi Arabia and part of Syria and part of Lebanon. And Huckabee said, they should. Saudis believe in this larger Israel, which we discussed before, where they need to take part of Saudi Arabia and part of Syria and part of Lebanon. And Huckabee said, yeah, let them. They should. And I'm like, again, who are you representing? You're the American ambassador to Israel. What happened to promoting America? But you're 100% just promoting Israel. Things like this, Sean, give me headaches. I'm like, how is this even possible?
You think he even realizes what he's doing?
I think he's so indoctrinated into I'm supporting Israel that he doesn't even think, hey, I'm supposed to be supporting the United States anymore. He is now an Israeli representative to the U.S., not an American representative to Israel. And again, this stuff just blows my mind. I mean,
It's not.
But I think ultimately,
our government is supposed to be representing the people. We the people. And let's go on. I'm a Marine. I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the Constitution says we the people determine what we want, and we elect people that represent our will. Our representatives should be doing what we want them to do. 56% of Americans, according to the Gallup poll, don't want us to be in Iran. We're in Iran. Should we be there? You would think our representatives at least would ask that question. How do you ask that question legally? We have something called the War Powers Act. The War Powers Act says that, well, first it's been misused. The War Powers Act says that the president can engage troops for one of three reasons, and one of three reasons only. Number one, Congress has declared war. Congress is the only body that can declare war against someone. Number two, Congress has statutorily authorized the president to commit troops. Basically, they've preempted and said, if this happens, you're authorized to respond. We give you that authority. And number three is a direct attack against the United States. None of those three have happened. Yet, we ordered an attack on Iran. Not twice, twice. Now let's be clear. Trump's not the first one to do this. Other presidents have done this too. Other presidents have unilaterally sent troops in violation of this clause. But then what happens is the War Power Act comes into play. And Congress then needs to go to the president and say, you need to explain yourself. You have 48 hours to give us a full report on why you put troops in, what your goal is, and what happened that you thought you could justify this. If the president doesn't give that to Congress within 48 hours, and if Congress doesn't approve, all military has to be removed within 60 to 90 days. That's what the War Powers Act says. Well and good. This is part of our country's checks and balances, right? This is all well and good. February 28th. The Senate voted 53-47 against. We're not even going to invoke the War Powers Act. We're not even going to ask the question. The House voted 212 to 219 against. We're not even going to ask the question. We're not even going to hold the president accountable. We're going to let him do whatever he wants. Congress abdicated their power to declare war to the president. That's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says the only ones able to declare war are Congress, and Congress just abdicated that by voting not to even invoke the War Powers Act. I look at that as a complete abdication of our representatives' responsibilities. And this gets worse. We have a great country. We have a great legal system. We have tools available to take care of these things. We just have to use them. And the people that we trust to use them are not using them. We have something called the Leahy Act. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
The Leahy Act says that it is illegal to sell any armament or munitions to any other group or country that is violating human rights. That's what it says. Well, Israel's been charged by how many countries now with genocide? We're giving them weapons. So what should happen? What should happen is somebody should invoke the Leahy Act and say, we need to investigate, is Israel violating human rights or not? Because if they are, we need to stop all of our payments to them and all of our weapons transfers to them. So a bill was introduced in the Senate that said, we need to investigate, not cut them off. We just need to investigate. Is Israel creating, or is Israel committing human rights violations? The Senate voted 72 to 11 to not even investigate.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious. Look it up. And again, I told people, look it up. 72 to 11, we don't even want to know. We don't even want to check it out. Because we're afraid of what we might find, and then we'd have to stop sending them weapons. So we're not even going to look. Hey, Beck, this is all of the information that I think Americans need to know. Because I don't think most Americans understand what is happening. When they vote and they choose someone, I don't think they understand that their will, and quite honestly, just standard American values, are not being upheld.
What if you could learn more about your health in under an hour? The Pernuvo Whole Body Scan gives you a comprehensive look at your health, screening for over 500 conditions, including many solid tumors as early as stage 1. High-quality imaging, no radiation, no contrast. Book your scan today at prenuvo.com.
How are we gonna fix this?
Always the question, right? And it is a great question. I'm actually working on a second book. Because
You hurry up.
Buck, I know, right? I alone, in my just working, reading everything I can, taking in everything I can, and quite honestly, there are a lot of smart people out there, and I try and read all of them, and the things I'm seeing, you know, they're not. I'm not coming up with all of this on my own, and nobody else is. There's some smart people out there. There's John Mearsheimer, I think his name is Andrew Basovich, Chalmers Johnson. One's a professor at Chicago University, one at Boston University, one's a CIA analyst. They're all writing the same thing. They're all seeing this, and they're all saying the same thing. It's just they're getting drowned out by all the rest of the propaganda and sensationalism there's some smart people out there looking at this stuff, and I'm trying to read as much and gather as much as I can. I put together 19 points of what we can do to change, or what needs to change. And the thing I'm working on right now is categorizing this. Some of these would require congressional change to the Constitution, an amendment, which is, God knows, going to be almost impossible. Others of it are things that people can do now. I'm going to give an example of two. One of the things I think absolutely has to change is we need to get rid of the Electoral College. And some people go, no, it's necessary for this, no, it's necessary for that. It's not. Again and again, I keep going back to what are the facts and what's the history. The Electoral College was a compromise during the Constitutional Convention when we were drawing up a constitution between the North and the South. The North said, one person, one vote. Right? The South said, but yeah, a lot of our population is slaves and they don't get to vote. And the North said, well, you don't get to count them. And the South said, well, that's not fair, because you guys are just going to run everything then. So they came up with a compromise, and they said, okay, instead of everybody just voting, we'll come up with the idea of electors. And you'll get as many electors, normally, as you would have congressmen, because it's based on how much you are. And we'll count every slave as 3/5 the one person. So when we're adding up your people, we'll add up the slaves, multiply it by 3/5, and we'll add that to the voting population. That's the Electoral College. We're still using a system based on slavery.
Wow. I had no idea of that.
Right. And this gets really weird because of the Electoral College and the way things are counted, you would think, I get for congressmen, the way we did it was 2 senators, right, per state. Great. Everybody's kind of equal as a state. But then you get how many congressmen you have based on population, so they kind of offset each other. And then you've got this really weird Electoral College thing. Well, with the Electoral College, when you look at how many votes a state has and how many people it has, we see some really weird things happen. If you're in Wyoming, it's not one vote, one person. Because of the Electoral College, a person in Wyoming's vote counts 15 times more than a person's vote in California, because they get more electoral votes for the state, but there aren't as many people. So their vote counts more. That's undemocratic. That's not fair. And that's why people say, well, why do effectively in presidential campaigns, they have swing states. Anybody ask what a swing state is? It's one of those states that because of the Electoral College, their votes count more. So for every person you can convince to vote for you, it's like convincing 15 people in California or New York, right? So we're going to go concentrate on these states. And basically, if we put all of our campaigning into these states, I really don't care what the other states vote, because these have such a 15, 18, 12 to 1 ratio. If I just get these, I don't care about the rest of the country. I don't think that's the way our country should be run. I think the Electoral College has to go. So that would take a constitutional amendment, which is not going to happen. So some really smart people put together something called the Popular Vote Compact, or a Popular Vote, I think it's Compact. Popular Vote Agreement. It's a state-by-state thing. And a state passes a state law that just says, once enough people sign on to this, that we have, 273 electoral votes to elect the president, I think it's 273.
I'm not sure on that.
270 something. I'll say 3, but anybody listening, if it's not 3, forgive me, 270 some electoral votes. Once enough states sign on that they control that many electoral votes, then this law kicks in. And this law would say, whatever the popular vote is across the whole U.S., we will give all of our electors to that winner. That effectively bypasses the Electoral College without a constitutional amendment, and it makes the president elected by popular vote. Right now, I think it changes. I think there's 22 states that have signed on to this.
Really?
And I think we're up to 250 or 60 electoral votes. They only need 20 some more. And it has been proposed in almost every other state. So you want to do something today? Go talk to not your federal congressmen and your senators and representatives. Go talk to your state representative and state senator and say you want your state to be part of the public vote compact. As soon as we pass that, the Electoral College and presidents will be elected by popular vote.
What was the name of this again?
The popular vote, I think it's compact. The popular vote compact, I think, or popular vote something.
Interesting. Yeah, I've not heard anybody talk about this.
It is a great way for us to get over the Electoral College. It's a great way because once this happens,
Roberto, thanks for being
can't
here.
just focus on swing states anymore.
Please make sure you share out the podcast and leave me questions. Thank you for being here.
$5.80 offer 7.0 miles. 22 minutes offer declined. Looking for your next one. $5.80 offer declined. Looking for your next one.
That's your call.
One or the other. I can't. the other. If I may ask what you're looking. I'm just looking at the brakes. That's what I want to look at. Pick it up there. Pick it up with the.
My-
Anything manipulated? I don't mind a cap coming up.
$8.80 offer 8.8 miles, 25 minutes total. Offer accepted. We'll add it to your route.
about preserving it. Oh, we don't want you touching it because we want to preserve it. He has a judge order to get this vehicle inspected. Are you terrified that this independent expert is going to look at the car? Your prosecutor is telling him in court, is telling the judge, I'm letting the independent expert reconstruct this collision. But here you are on a leaked body cam. On a leaked body cam, it showed that the main investigator, the same investigator that lied all over the news, Robert Drum, is telling the independent expert, prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, you cannot reconstruct this accident. You cannot touch the vehicles. Not Mustafa's vehicle, not the other vehicle involved in this collision, the SUV.
The tow bed? With the tow bed? I'm sure it got a jack. I would say leave the wheel on. Sarah said she doesn't want anything manipulated. I don't mind a cat coming off looking at something, but taking a wheel off. I need to get under and look inside the drums. Yeah.
He's
because everybody's vote counts the same, which I think is a great thing. No longer can we ever have a president that the populace didn't vote for, which, if you believe we're a democracy, we're not. We're a democratically elected republic. But if you believe in the democratic process, the president should represent the majority of the people. 5 times in history, they have not. They got the electoral votes, they did not get the popular vote, which I believe is totally wrong. It's one of the first things we can do, to fix this. That's a bigger thing. We talk about our Congress being beholden to AIPAC, Zionists, the United Democracy Project, and all of this. There are tools out there, and I'll get more of them to you. I don't have them off the top of my head, but there's one, for example, called AIPAC Tracker. You can go in AIPAC Tracker and see who's getting money. When the elections come up for the midterms, when the elections come up in 2028, go find out and ask the candidates, have you taken money from AIPAC? Are you taking money from AIPAC, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, or any other foreign country? You should know. Because if they're taking money from them, especially if they're the #1 funder of their campaign, that's who they're going to be representing. Those are little things that you can do today, or as the elections come up, right? As much as they may agree right now, don't give up. Write your congressmen, write your senators, let them know what you think. Tell them you do not support the Iran war. You do not want us there. I heard somebody say, don't send them an email. I don't know if this is true or not. I looked up part of it. Emails just get aggregated, right? In the morning you get, hey, we got 200 emails. This many said this many said that. I was told if you really want to, mess with the system, send them a physical letter. Physical letters have to be open, read, and manually entered one at a time.
Interesting.
I'm like, I think I'll send them 1,000 a day or something. Let's see. How many cents for a ticket, for a stamp now? 50 cents for a stamp. Let's see, so if I spend $50 a day.
Oil skyrocketing, so that's going to get more expensive, right?
But let's work on them one at a time.
They'll listen.
What's that?
They'll start listening.
I think so. I think people are hungry to hear. It's just getting through all of the chaff and propaganda.
سيدة تتحدث.
I think people just need to keep getting loud. Congress has, what, a 90% real...
He has a judge or he has.
rated,
They do.
and a 10% approval rating.
I saw recently 7%.
7%.
I saw a listing of who do people now. Okay, I take it back. That was probably approval rate, 10% approval rate. I saw an interesting survey of who do you trust, and it had a whole list of lawyers, doctors, car mechanics, everybody, right? Who do you trust? Number 1 and 2, you'll never guess. Veterans and nurses. Number 1 and 2.
No kidding.
Veterans and nurses. People trust. Dead last.
Politicians.
Politicians, 7% trust rate of politicians. That is a sad comment on our Congress.
Yeah.
But again, the good news is we can change this. It's we the people. It's up to us. People just need to have to want to do it. They need to want to get involved and not say things like, I don't care about this. Because that affects you, whether you know it or not. When you say, I don't care what's happening overseas, yeah, well, that war, those oil prices, that's going to affect your pocketbook, your gas prices, your heating bill, your food bill, whether or not you have enough money left over to go to education. I mean, you don't understand how all of this ties together. You should care.
And your kids.
Yeah. I want
This does
all
go
of
to
our
a
kids to
ground.
be able to grow up in a country that gives them opportunities.
Do you think they would institute a draft?
I saw something just the other day that somebody was talking about it. Again, politically, how would you do that unless we are under attack? You did in Vietnam. And how did that turn out?
Not great. I mean, I just wonder I don't know where we're at. I know recruitment and retention during the Biden administration was at an all-time low.
Yeah,
I know that it's come back.
it's come back, so
I don't know how much,
I don't either.
but now I feel like it's going to fall off again.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the more people see warfare that doesn't benefit us, the less people want to go be in our military. You were in our military, I was in the military. I mean, we wanted to support our country. We wanted to make sure that our way of life, our country is safe and protected. But you get real disillusioned when you start getting sent places that don't support America. And I know I did when I was in the military, looking at it going, why are we here? And don't tell me for oil. Because I didn't sign up to go protect oil. I signed up to protect our way of life.
He has a judge order to get this vehicle inspected. Are you terrified that this independent expert is going to look at the car? Your prosecutor is telling him in court, is telling the judge, I'm letting the independent expert reconstruct this collision, but here you are on a leaked body cam. On a leaked body cam, it showed that the main investigator, the same investigator that lied all over the news, Robert Drum, is telling the independent expert, prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, you cannot reconstruct this accident. You cannot touch the vehicles. Not Mustafa's vehicle, not the other vehicle involved in this collision, the SUV.
That's so bad. That's so bad. I'm sure it got a check. say leave the wheel on. Sarah said she doesn't want anything manipulated. I don't mind a cab coming off looking at something, but taking a wheel off.
Need to get under and look at the side. Drums.
Sarah, prosecutor, said she doesn't want anything manipulated. You can't touch the vehicle. You can't take the wheel off. You can't do anything. How is he going to reconstruct this accident? How is he going to reconstruct this entire collision? Wait a minute. Doesn't he have a judge order to reconstruct this collision? Wait, isn't prosecutor Sarah Sammy telling the judge, I allowed the reconstruction of this vehicle? Well, you've got this officer, the same officer that lied, blocking it. Under the pretense we don't want anything manipulated. Well, let's look at the car. This is the car. This is the car after the accident. And you notice everybody's out the vehicle. Mustafa's family is already out the vehicle. Mustafa is out of the vehicle. This is at the scene after the accident. Well, this is the vehicle inside the police department. Explain to me how the vehicle went from this to this. This is the fire department brought in to chop at the vehicle. Why did you chop at the vehicle?